Okay, Damon. So glad to hear you're doing good. Let's talk about The Long Night. Um, you're a producer for this, right? Like you pretty much stand in the producer aspect of The Long Night the same way you did Apache Junction and a lot of the other films that you do with your production company.
Yes. So the long night, I have a produced by credit, which is, responsible for everything. Unlike Apache Junction, I have partners on this film, different produced by partners. So I was able to work with my mentor, Ryan R. Johnson. He's the one that brought me really into feature film producing 13 years ago. So life came full circle for me on this movie, and I was able to finally work with my mentor and actually make a film with him. So it was great.
That's pretty awesome. So I'm curious about as far as like the cast, like obviously you said you've worked with Ryan before 13 years ago, but Scout Taylor-Compton was also in Apache Junction.
Yes.
So I'm curious if that was another coincidence for you, or if that's something where your production team and the people you work with brought her back on another project.
Yes. So Scout was, she was sought after because we were in a predicament where we started the movie and we were going one direction, and then all of a sudden scheduling issues and conflicts, and we lost everything. And but we already started spending money, and because of that, we had to retool the whole entire movie from the ground up, from script to director to cast. I mean, we had the crew on the ground already. We were spending. So our first call was to Rich Ragsdale, who I did Ghost House with. And then the second call was to Scout Taylor-Compton, because we did Ghost House with also. And
Okay.
I've seen those two in the jungles of Thailand, in a graveyard in the middle of the night, beating off evil spirits and giving top-notch performances. So I knew that Scout and Rich Ragsdale were the one we needed them.
So what was something like, do you feel like once you took into a different direction, do you think the final version of the screenplay and the final version of the movie is at all similar to what you initially planned with a different cast? Or do you think a lot of it changed once you brought other people in and they kind of brought their own, like Scout and Ragsdale kind of brought their own bits to it? Did it sort of change the story?
Yeah, it's a different movie entirely. The first movie was about a coven of witches. We called it the Coven, and there were pieces there that Rich really liked. Okay, but that's not Rich's movie. Rich is a creative and an auteur, so he needs to come in and put his thumbprint on the script, on the wardrobe, on everything on the production side of things. So that's why we have a different script. We had the fundamentals from the start, but we changed it to more folkloric. It's a genre of folklore horror, which is really cool, and he made it unique in that way.
So with you, a couple questions I didn't ask you about the production aspect. Now, because you're the producer on this, but you said you have production partners. Do you handle the marketing? Like, did you have a hand in any of like the actual like the trailer or any of that cutting? Or do you pretty much just kind of stand back and handle money and make sure that everything is on track to get that money back at the very
Yeah.
least?
So, sometimes it's both. In this instance, we really let the distributor is going to, gear the film in the right direction from a marketing standpoint, right? That's their specialty. My specialty is getting it to the distributor so then they could have their marketing, put it together, and then distribute, domestically in the US and Canada. I mean, worldwide too, but that's through a different company. There's different ways to exploit your film.
Okay, I can see that then. So that makes perfect sense. But as far as you had mentioned with the movie, distribution wise, it's on VOD and in theaters as of the 4th. So
Yeah, correct.
right before the weekend. What was your initial like projection for when it had planned to be released before all the pandemic stuff? Like, was this kind of the time period that you were hoping to get it out by, or were you looking at like 2020, 2021 initially?
Yeah, I mean, we were initially looking at 2020,
That's what I
right?
was
We
thinking.
were, this is, we call it the long night, but it was like the long movie. I made this movie before I made Apache Junction.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So this was my second movie with Scout. Apache was my third movie with Scout.
That's funny.
So
That's funny.
but it just happened, sometimes it just takes longer. You have to go have pickup days. You have to reshoot a scene. You have to, retool the VFX. So the pieces aren't working, but Rich was able to really put these like small details into the project, which is why we have such a great picture now.
So obviously you said that the lore matters a lot to you, like you care about that. What other aspects of like this specific thing, whether it was when it was still the Coven or now that it's the Long Night, kind of attracted you to putting yourself into this project? Because you obviously cared about it enough to handle it two completely different movies now,
Yeah.
two completely different scripts. What was the thing that made you most passionate for this?
Well, there were a few things. One being my mentor brought it to me. So that was like really important. I felt I had never really fully made a movie with Ryan. We had put things together, but they kind of fizzled out. This is the first time that I knew that we could make this. So that was one great aspect. Another great aspect was we had this beautiful estate in Charleston owned by Martin Sprock of Sprockefeller Pictures. And this estate is so beautiful. It's a character in itself. So, seeing where you could shoot and where you can make a movie, it just made you want to do it. So, and I've never been to Charleston before, so it's always a new adventure.
It's pretty nice. It's pretty
Yeah,
nice. I was there one time, but I really liked it.
it's a beautiful place, and there's so much there's mystery and history there. So
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah,
I was surprised at how much like the bits and I mean, we're not here to talk about Charleston. We're here to talk about how long were you guys filming there?
Oh yeah, too long. Too long. No, I mean, we were there for like 2.5 months.
Gotcha. So Scout, it seems like she does really, really well with minimalist casts. Is that one of the reasons that you like had sought her out for this role? Because a lot of her scenes are either with just one other person or her talking to people who aren't necessarily responding to her.
Yeah. So it's a big role. It's a huge role for any actor. And because we're already on a time crunch, because we're in the hot seat, because we're, there's not a lot of people that could actually fill that role. We could have gone anywhere else and, you could have had a great actor, but they don't have the time. They can't, digest it. They can't really get into it. But we knew Scout could. She is that incredible as an actress that we knew what we would give her. She would be able to digest it, relate to it, and then really fulfill as a character and bring that out, and that's
and I think there's some parts, without giving any spoilers, that I feel like I saw a bit of Scout's acting kind of push herself out of maybe what her comfort zone is. Like there was, without any spoilers, I'll say there were some loud pieces. There were some scenes where I was like, she seems like she's really pushing herself out of her comfort zone, or at least of what I had seen her act in before.
Yeah.
So it was really cool to see her bring layers to that character and how that changed over time. Oh, go ahead. You had
okay. Well, I love that point because you're able to get there because of two people, right? That's the comfortability of the actor and the director. So Rich and Scout's personal relationship as friends, they were able to really push each other, right, from a creative aspect. and Rich pushed her as an actor and really brought that up, and she was able to come, out completely and just blow everybody's mind.
That is a really good thing to point out and bring up. Like, obviously, I guess them having that chemistry helps them understand where each other's strengths are, even if it's like not necessarily confident strengths. So that's really cool. And it makes a lot of sense why you would want to work on multiple projects with similar people.
Oh yeah, completely.
Let's talk about the other projects you have coming up, at least just to plug them. I know we don't have much time left, but last time we talked, you were trying to get at least like 4 movies out this year. I know.
Yeah.
Other than The Long Night, what other things would you like people to be on the lookout for?
Sure. We have Maneater, which is a Jaws style film with Trace Atkins, Nikki Whelan, and Shane West. And then we have a film that I just finished shooting in Thailand. That was it's called Battle of Saipan. It's a World War II film, and that has Casper Van Dien, Louis Mandylor, and Jeff Fahey. And
Very
then
nice.
so those are the 2 that we just have completed, and we're off to the next one.
That's nice. I've talked to people on all those projects, so that are
Oh,
involved
awesome.
with those. So I can't wait to help you guys promote those as well.
Well, really appreciate that.
We'll be looking for that. As far as where can everybody find on VOD? Obviously, the Long Night is in theaters right now, but as far as
Sure.
VOD, where would people look to get that movie?
Yeah, so ideally iTunes is probably the best way to go, and we like that. If you get from iTunes, it helps with our rankings, and we are an indie film, so the more clicks we get there, it helps us in the ratings and the algorithm. So please go to iTunes.
Okay, I'll make sure to include that link as well then. Any last things that you wanted to mention about The Long Night? Any appreciation you want to shout out for anybody involved before I drop the call on you?
Yeah, no, I just want to thank, our producing team, Ryan Johnson, Martin Sprock, and Vasily Bernhardt for all keeping it together during the craziness. And then Rich Ragsdale, Nolan Gerard Funk, and Scout Taylor-Compton as actors. And then our casting directors, Gabrielle and Shannon McKinney.